Good morning from Cooking with Gerry. A wet, chilly start. It's been raining for most of the past day. Really heavy rain yesterday. I have here in the frying pan on a low heat about a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of virgin olive oil. And it's been heating for almost 2 minutes. I need to minimize how much time that we have the bright light because lots of insects fly in to attracted by the bright light. Here there are 6 quail eggs. I am just going to mix a little bit and put them in the frying pan. Let them cook for about a minute before we add the other ingredients. In the saucepan I have whole grain wheat, amaranth, and kaniwa. The amaranth and kaniwa are seeds. They soak overnight and then I was able to wash and rinse them this morning. Can't wash and rinse them unless they're soaked overnight because the seeds are so small that they fall through the holes of the strainer. So that's going to cover for a little bit. So with the whole grain wheat, kaniwa, and the amaranth, they were cooked in water with about 1 tablespoon of salted butter and a couple pinches of coarse grained pink salt. And there's leftovers, so stay tuned because lunchtime we'll use the leftovers to make something else. So in this frying pan I am going to add, I have about 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds, 3 Brazil nuts that I cut up into smaller pieces, and about 10 almonds, and I cut up some of those pieces as well to make them smaller. They were washed and rinsed, and they're going to go into the frying pan just to warm up a little bit. They'll cook for about a minute, but it's mostly just to warm them up. And they will absorb a little bit of the butter and olive oil. And then in this bowl I have banana, locally grown, as well as a bunch of grapes from a neighbor's property, 1 piece of turmeric that I cut up into smaller pieces, and a teaspoon of black pepper. I've learned it's important to add black pepper to turmeric to allow the body a better chance of absorbing the nutrition from the turmeric. So that's also going in. And give that a quick stir. And then I'm going to add now a little bit of this whole grain wheat, kaniwa, and amaranth. Kind of like a porridge. I can't show you because it'll fall out. A porridge, but not with the oat flakes. So I'm going to put about half of it so that we can have the other half for the next meal. And let me stir that real quick, and then breakfast is ready. I just smelt the black pepper. I'm going to add a little bit more salt, 2 pinches, and 1 final stir. And a little bit of extra virgin coconut oil, about a tablespoon. And then stir it. A nice warm breakfast. Let me show you really quick. So here is the porridge with the whole grain wheat, kaniwa, amaranth, and here is the breakfast. Awesome. Really tasty, lots of nutrition. So I'm going to cover this, let it sit for a few minutes, and then smells great. And then we'll eat and come back again for lunchtime to use the leftover grains and seeds. It's lunchtime and we're going to use the leftovers from this morning, the whole grain wheat, kaniwa seed and amaranth seed. In the frying pan I have the heat on low. It's been about 1 minute. There's 1 tablespoon of salted butter, and I am going to add about 1 tablespoon virgin olive oil. I want to have a little bit of fun with this meal while still having it be healthy and nutritious. So, first to go in is spinach that I washed and cut into smaller pieces. Losing a few pieces on the wood. That's going to cook for less than a minute, maybe 2 minutes. No, less than a minute. I prefer not to cook so much the spinach, but when I rinse them with the tap water, because the tap water is well water, it's not quite so clean, so I want to at least heat it to the point where any bugs or unwanted bacteria don't survive the heat of the fire in the frying pan. So that's why I am cooking this spinach, otherwise I would have it raw. I also can explain what I have here. This is for a friend. He likes to eat meat. This is specifically chicken, but he understands the difference between factory chicken and free-range chicken. And the neighbor was able to process for him one of her chickens. I see them almost every day. They come down the hill, pecking at the ground, moving the leaves around with their chicken feet, looking for bugs. And he paid a little bit extra so that she would process it, which means kill it and remove the feathers and cut it in half, because 1/2 of it is going to one of our friends. And because it's a free-range chicken, the muscles are firm. They're really chewy because it moves around a lot, up and down this hill, sometimes escaping from the village dogs. So the meat is really tough. So it's been slow cooking for about 1.5 hours, and it's pretty much done. We will have our meal together. This will be my meal that I'm cooking in the frying pan. What I will do is, the neighbor also included the organ meat. So the organ meat is still right here, not cooked, washed. I'm going to lightly pan fry it in some butter for a few minutes, and we will share that. I'll have a little bit of the organ meat. I'm still on the fence as to if it's healthy or not to eat chicken, but I also understand that I could be wrong in thinking that it's not healthy. So I, once a month or twice a month, I'll eat chicken. This time I will have just a little bit of organ meat with the rest of my meal, which we will put into the frying pan now. And the rest of my meal is one apricot that I washed and chopped into smaller pieces and basically have to eat because I dropped it on the ground as I was looking through my bag of fruit and veggies. And because it's dropped, it's got a bruise impact which would rot very quickly. So that's going in with a handful of pumpkin seeds and a handful of sunflower seeds and about 15 roasted hazelnuts, which I prefer not to eat roasted, but that's how they arrived. So that's how I'm going to eat them. As well as 3 pecans. I broke apart. You have to remove that middle center core, and I broke them into smaller pieces. And about 5 or 6 walnut halves. Those nuts and seeds I washed beforehand. They're in my strainer. And they're going to go in now just to get heated a little bit. Don't really want to cook these nuts, seeds, and the apricot. There we go. Put that over here. And that'll be less than a minute just to heat it. It's nice to have a warm meal. But this would also be very good as a cold meal. Not cold from the fridge cold, but room temperature cold. I could have put all these ingredients into a big bowl with the leftovers, and I'm pointing right here. This is where the leftovers are. That will also get slightly heated. I want to add now also, I'm keeping the spoons separate because this was the spoon that stirs the chicken. I'm going to add some coarse grain pink salt, 2 pinches, and now I will add the leftovers from this morning. It's much better to eat freshly prepared food, but to make things a bit easier for myself, I will sometimes cook twice the quantity and have enough for 2 meals. There we go. Kind of like a porridge. Very enjoyable for me to eat this kind of porridge. So quick stir. And I want to add Sacha Inchi cold pressed extra virgin oil. Similar to an almond, it's a nut that I think grows in the Andes. And similar properties to, I'd say, almond oil, walnut oil, that kind of nutrition available. So this is my meal. I'll just stir it a little bit more and it'll cook for, well, not really cook, but heat up for about 1 more minute, and then I'll turn the fire off. But I'd like to show you, and in this small pot with the processed chicken that my friend got earlier, there was also included the head. And we decided that it should be cooked separate. So that's in this small pot, which I'll show you as well. Doesn't really look like a chicken head. So there we go. That's the chicken head. Here is the free-range chicken, just cooking in water and be a nice healthy chicken broth. And then there's my meal. a porridge with veggies, fruits, nuts, and seeds. So, yeah, like any meal, there's lots of different combinations. Pumpkin would have probably been very nice, or some kind of squash, like zucchini. I could have added grapes. I bought some grapes again from the neighbor that I'll eat during breakfast times usually. So I'm going to turn that heat off. That's done for me. And it'll be a healthy, nutritious, tasty. Oh, there's one more ingredient. I forgot. I've learned that pure chocolate is healthy, and the gut microbiome, the good bacteria in the intestines, love the pure cocoa. Even up to 80% dark chocolate. Anything less and there's too much sugar, not so much benefit for the gut flora. So I am just going to shave a little bit of this piece of solid pure cocoa from a farm that's in a neighboring county. There we go. And I'll stir it around. It will melt just from the heat of the ingredients that are in there now. And it'll add a really nice chocolate flavor to every bite. There is enough sweetness from the apricot for sure, but also the grains, the whole grain wheat. Because I don't eat sugar, it tastes a little bit sweet to me, as well as the seeds, kaniwa and amaranth. So that's the meal. Awesome. Thanks for watching, and see you really soon.